Hey there, Chris Adams here. This is the last video, number 5, I promise. And listen, I'm not putting these videos together to, to spam you or to, annoy you or whatever. I'm really creating these video series so you can really understand who we are and what we do, right? I've talked about in video number 1 what our vision statement is. Technology is what we do, not who we are. We talked about our mission. We keep your computers running fast and secure, right? And your internet running fast and secure so your employees can grow your business. We kind of touched on some of the pillars. And number 2, we talked about some of our customer testimonials, and I kind of put those into context. Video 3, full transparency. You know what? If it doesn't work out, how to fire Smatotech, right? We hope that you don't fire Smatotech, but that's just, sometimes stuff happens. I'm just trying to be transparent and authentic. I think that's important in a business relationship. In video 4, I kind of did a fun little tour around the office. So in this last video, right, I think actually it might be the most important. I'm the president of Smatotech. This organization is my responsibility. Everything that we have talked about just didn't come out of thin air, right? It's the accumulation of my growth, right, throughout the company. I'm very coachable, right? I'm always learning. And one of the ways that I learn is I read. So what I thought I'd do is I put together some really influential books that have put this together, right? What is out here is a lot of what's been in here. And, let's be honest, you and I might not form a business relationship. That's fine. But I still want to provide value to you. I still want your business to be successful. And maybe you can take some information away from some of these books. Maybe you've not heard about some of these books, and help you in maybe a struggle that you're trying to do, right, in your organization. So I thought I would just kind of start off with the current book, right? And let's be careful. One of the interesting interview questions I have for employees is I'm always asking, what are you reading? Because I think it's important in the fact that what are we trying to do to be better, right? I don't care if you're reading fiction, nonfiction. It's just the fact of, what are you reading? So one of the books that I'm reading is Brad Cleveland's book, Leading the Customer Experience. I'm only about 44 pages into this thing. But the other thing that I do is I always carry a mechanical kind of a disposable pencil in all the books that I read, because I'm always making notes in the margins. And as you'll see in here, these books really are like textbooks for me. They sit over here in my bookcase because they become points of reference. I just don't turn and burn. In fact, there are several of these books that I've read twice, which is really interesting, because when I read it the second time, there's always something that in the context of what's going on in our organization that I pull out, that I get to focus on. So anyway, so I'm reading this. I listened to him in an interview on a podcast that I listened to, the Marketing Book Podcast, I believe is the name. And he's always interviewing authors from marketing books. And I really liked what Brad had to say in the interview, so I picked up the book and I'm reading that. One of the things that just kind of stood out for me in this one is on page 44, it says, the leadership secret here is to approach training, coaching, and standards as opportunities to empower your employees to coach themselves. I think that's really powerful. And the word that I love in there that we don't do enough in our organizations, I believe, is the word empower, right? Helping our employees be better people by empowering them to be better people, right? So I really thought that was cool. So this is a good book. Here's what's interesting to me, quickly. It's amazing to me that we actually even have to write a book talking about the customer experience, right? Um, the customer experience is all you have, right? In our organization, let me just kind of put some context around this. We sell firewalls and switches and computers and all that stuff. You can get that anywhere, right? I mean, the level of competition to go buy that stuff, you can go to Best Buy, you can go to Amazon, you can go down the street. It's everywhere, right? That is not what you're going to buy from us, right? What you're going to buy is the processes, right? And the people that use those tools to help you grow your business, right? So just kind of think about that. Okay, this is an incredible book. This is if I were to say, if there was one book that I could sit down and I could read or I'd recommend, it would be this book by Horst Schulze, who is the co-founder of the Ritz-Carlton, and it's called Excellence Wins. In fact, I wrote a LinkedIn article on excellence wins and what we do in our organization to get through this. The Ritz-Carlton is an incredible story. Horst's story is actually pretty incredible. But and I've got all kinds of notes into this. And the thing that's interesting about this is all about the customer experience coming from culture and how you treat your employees. And I just shot a podcast, actually episode number 1, EP1, which I'm super excited about. And that's exactly what we talked about, right? Building the culture. Because if you're not creating your culture, the culture is creating you, and that's terrible. Anyway, so excellence wins, unbelievable. Here's what's really cool. We read this together as a team, right? I bought copies for all the guys out there, and we went through a couple chapters a week, and it was actually really, really powerful. What was really powerful about is the guys could see some of the ideas that I took out of here and I implemented into the organization, right? Here's the other thing that you have to understand. Reading is great, right? It's what you read and take that and put it into action, right? And not everything you're going to read, obviously, is going to be you don't know exactly what the outcome is going to be, right? But that's a great thing. We're going to talk about that in one of these other books too. But I thought this was kind of what I talked about beforehand about what our customers are buying, and it really just talks about right here on page 102, right? We have good equipment, good materials, good employees, right? The 3 things. But then you take that and you apply the processes, and then that is what delivers the product, right? The product for us is not the firewall or the switch or the computer. The product for us is the help desk, right? Who we get to be when we pick up the phone, who we get to be when we respond to an email, who we get to be when we're on site, right? Very powerful thing. So Horst, unbelievable, must read for that. Second book, which is actually kind of interesting for me, was Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And for you guys that don't know, I write all of my own content. The website is my creation. And one of the things that I love from Donald in this right here is, I think businesses think that they are the hero in the customer's journey, and they are not. The customer is the hero, and we as a company are just the guide. We're there just to kind of help them be successful, help them be the hero. And that's what Donald talks about in this book, and that's a really powerful concept. And if you read our website, you read some of the articles that I write, you'll see that, because I truly believe, listen, we're just here to guide our customers. Our customers make the decisions. We just give them the facts so they can make the decisions that's best for their organization, right, to help them grow and do whatever. The other thing that I like from Donald, and I listen to his podcast, and he's great, is the concept is, if you confuse, you lose. Using the right word at the right time. That's really important. In our industry, as you can imagine, we can bury people in technical babble, right? Whatever. We don't do that, right? We don't get into /29s or DNS or any sort of algorithms or Active Directory group policy, any of that stuff. At the end of the day, customers don't care about that, right? They want the process and the end goal, right? And that's what we talk about: productivity, frustrations, stuff like that. So that was an incredible book. The other great book was Competing Against Luck: The Story of Innovation and Customer Choice by Clayton Christensen. This was a great book. This really opened up my eyes to what we do as an organization to innovate, right? And what are we innovating? And on page 61, he talks about the competitive advantage is built not just by understanding customers' jobs, but by creating the experiences that customers seek both in purchasing and using the product or service, and then, crucially, building internal processes to ensure that those experiences are reliably delivered to the customer every single time. That's important. That was a real big epiphany for me, because we're growing, right? Because people like our business model. We don't do contracts. Everything is flat rate. We personally answer the phone. We respond to email tickets quickly. We've got a deployment team. We've got an on-site team, right? We do all of these things, right, to continue to make sure that we deliver our customer service, our help desk, that's our product, reliably, efficiently, right, with urgency, right? And this is a must read, right? Going back to the fact that, listen, let's say you're selling printers. You're not selling the printer. You're selling the service for the printer. You know what I mean, right? You're not selling, if you're a tire shop, you're not selling tires, right? You're selling the service for the tires. You know what I mean? Pretty interesting book there. So that was really good from Clayton. Now, one of Clayton's partners, Bob Moesta, wrote Demand Side Sales. Now, this is really cool, because this was an interesting shift for me, is the fact that there's a significant difference between supply side and demand side selling, right? Supply is kind of what we think the customer needs, right? Demand side is asking the questions to understand what the customer needs, and then building a solution based on their wants, not assuming or expecting, right, what we think from the supply side. This demand side selling is on page 45 right here. It says demand side selling starts with the struggling moment. We have to understand what the struggling moment is for the customer. And the way that you understand what the struggling moment is, you have to ask great questions, right? And then you have to listen. And you have to put services in there. Listen, when you go to our homepage, right, www.smattech.com, the headline on there is, "Are you tired of slow and unreliable IT support?" ? Right? Because we don't provide that. We provide reliable and urgent help desk, right? And that's kind of why I put together these videos, because that's what we do. That's our product, right? And we continue to innovate, right? We continue to innovate against that demand side sales. That's kind of what's going on here. This was a really interesting book. I need to go back and read this one again, and just continue to make sure that we're staying on the demand side and not on the supply side. So demand side selling, that was really good too. One of the other ones, I love reading about leadership, love reading about culture, love reading about marketing, this was recommended to me. This is Leadership. The Arbinger Institute has put together a series of these books, but this is Leadership and Self-Deception, right? Basically, how are you lying to yourself? Are you telling yourself the truth? And one of the things in here is, what's cool thing about this book is it's kind of in story form, right? It's not like these other books, which are kind of more like textbook type stuff, I guess, if that's the right analogy. These are in story format, right? So these actually have characters and they take you through the story. It's very well done. But one of the things is, this says in here on page 47, which is really powerful: the distinction isn't the behavior, it's the way I'm being when I'm doing whatever I'm doing. That's our vision statement. Technology is what we do, it's not who we are, right? Which goes to our help desk, right? We understand that when people have problems, people don't call into our help desk because they're, just calling to say hi, right? They're calling in because they have a struggling moment. They're calling in because they've got a problem. We are empathetic to that. We understand that is, right? Whether it's a mouse that doesn't work, whether your computer doesn't print, whether it's not even powering on, right? Those are all frustrating moments, right? Maybe a software program's not working, whatever it is, that's a struggling moment, right? It's not the fact that we are smart enough to fix the problem. It's who we get to be fixing the problem, right? So this is really good. This is about kind of like personal responsibility and working through this stuff. Here's what's really cool. We are currently reading this together as a team, and it's pretty powerful. And so here's what's happened. Let me just tell you what we do. So we typically read 2 chapters a week, and then on Mondays at 4:30 we do what we call book reviews. And everyone kind of highlights a couple of things that really stood out from them, and then they get to talk about it, and then everyone kind of has a discussion. It's pretty incredible, right? Because the guys are pulling different things out of the chapters that are applying to them. And here's what's cool. It's always not tied to work, right? Could be stuff that's going on in the personal life, right? So leadership, Getting Out of the Box by the Arbinger Institute. Incredible read. Another great book that I love from Marley Adams, Change Your Questions, Change Your Life. This was recommended to me too. This was actually pretty incredible. This is all about there's 2 perspectives that they talk about in the book. One being a judger perspective, a judger point of view, or a learner point of view. And judgers basically spend a lot of time around assumptions and expectations. Assumptions and expectations are a killer. They're a killer in relationships. And if you think about what business is a relationship, right? It's a many-to-many relationship organization, and we're aware of that. And trying to take assumptions and expectations out of the equations, you do that by asking good questions from the right perspective. And this is in storybook form. They've got characters in here, much like the leadership book in Self-Deception, and it's a pretty quick read. And the quote I have on here on page 174 basically says, the culture of any organization is created either by design or by default, right? Intention. And default typically tilts towards the negative and toward judgment. Listen, one of the things that we talk about here is culture. Our culture has to support our vision and our mission, right? Too many times that we've got these convoluted vision statements and these convoluted mission statements, they don't mean nothing. Those vision statements and our mission statements mean something in our organization. They are very real. And we have a culture that supports that. We have a culture that supports it because we talk about it. We do operations meeting once a week. And I can tell you, there was a spell, especially during the lockdown, where we didn't have those. And it was kind of kittywampus for us, right? Fish out of water. Our organizational meetings, operations meetings are very important because we do a lot of things, right? That's where our feedback comes into play, both from our customers and external customers and our internal customers, which are employees. We're always evaluating what's working, what's not working, what's the thing that we can do. And then, like I've always talked about before, in those we do celebrations, which are really powerful. And that provides the culture. It's what reinforces everything that we do here. Okay, those are the books. And one last thing here, and I think I'm going to try to attach this to the email down below in a PDF, is this essay written by Eric Voigt, Juanita Brown, and David Isaacs called The Art of Powerful Questions. And it kind of goes to where my journey with questions, and I'll tell you, my family and the guys, I'm always asking questions, right? I very rarely tell anymore. I'm more about, and I'm not trying to influence. I hate that word influence. I think we've ruined that word. I love the word empower. And I'm empowering my guys by asking great questions. Now, listen, I'm just kind of getting into this. But I'm aware of it, which is kind of what's helping me grow. But I think it's good for me, and it's definitely good for the team. And if it's good for me and it's good for the team, guess who else it's good for? You, right? That's the triple down. That's a ripple effect that we want to have in our communities. And so, the art of powerful questions kind of goes to what I talked about in the podcast when I interview people, right? The first interview, we don't even talk about the resume, right? The first interview is all about you. It's all about the relationship. And that's kind of what I do, is ask you three questions. Tell me who you are, tell me what you do, and tell me how you do it. And people fumble through that, right? Partly because most people have never asked them that before. And I'm not really looking for an answer. What I'm doing is I'm just kind of setting the tone for, okay, this Chris is kind of a different cat, but a good cat. Okay, what do I like in here? I love these things, right? And like I said, I'm going to try to get to this too. It's a short read, obviously it's quick, but I like this. I highlighted this. Leaders, right, and as business owners like yourself, leaders believe that they are being paid for fixing problems rather than fostering breakthrough thinking. And you could say breakthrough innovation, same thing. Between our deep attachment to the answer, any answer, and our anxiety for not knowing. I think we as leaders have to be comfortable with not knowing, not having all the answers, and asking questions, to find the answers. I think when you shift your mindset from and asking questions, asking versus telling, I think there's some powerful paradigms there. So those are just some of the things that I read. Like I said, I think it's important for you to understand who I am, because it's my responsibility, right? I am the leader of the organization. I set the tone. The buck stops with me, or whatever you want to say with that. But this is what I do to grow. I am not perfect by any means, but I'm trying to be better. My guys are not perfect, but we try to be better, right? It's not about being perfect on the desk. It's about being compassionate, empathetic, kind, sincere, and the other stuff just kind of comes into play. So anyway, I'm hoping that you and I get to build a business relationship. I look forward to that. I love talking about not just the technical stuff, right? Technology is what we do. It's not who we are. I love having conversations with other business owners, about these things, what's going on in their organization. And if I can help out, I can help out. So maybe I can help you out with, something that's going on here. You can shoot me an email. I'm more than happy. I love coffee. Anyway, that's it. So that's the end of the videos. I appreciate your time. We are grateful that you're giving us the opportunity to see what we can do to help you guys out and support your business, support your employees, to help you grow, to help you take care of your customers. And I'm hoping that we get to talk to you real soon. Thanks.